You're listening to Four Things to Know, a WCCO daily news podcast.
Today is Monday, April 20th. I'm Johnny Kahner. Thank you for listening to Four Things to Know. Your top story today: there is just a month left in the Minnesota legislative session, and fighting fraud is a top priority. One of the ideas before lawmakers is a new independent watchdog dedicated to stopping the theft of public funds before that happens and catching criminals after the fact. Caroline Cummings is at the Capitol with more on how that all stands, and you'll also hear from DFL Representative Matt Norris.
The proposal to establish a new Office of Inspector General passed the Minnesota Senate with broad bipartisan support last year, but it's been subject to debate over in the House between Republicans and Democrats who have at times been at odds over what that should look like. After a standstill earlier this session, the bill was moving forward through all of the requisite committees, but there are still some sticking points that remain that will have to be ironed out before session winds down here soon. Now, the House Ways and Means Committee today discussed the proposal, which a new analysis shows could cost $15 million over the remainder of this budget and the next 2-year budget cycle to get up and running. Plus, there'd be additional funding needed to cover how other agencies would interact with this new OIG. That's a concern for some at a time when the state's finances are tight, but bill authors say they're working through the remaining issues.
We have a few remaining sticking points that we're working diligently to resolve. There's productive conversations happening between both the House and the Senate, DFLers and Republicans. This is a bill that is really important to the people of Minnesota. We want to make sure that it is effective, that it's ready to do the job on day one.
Now, lawmakers didn't take any action today on the bill, which would have been the final committee stop before a floor vote. But the expectation is that lawmakers will continue to work on this in the coming days and weeks before session ends 1 month from today. Now, later today, the House is taking up some fraud-related measures on the floor for a vote, including one that would increase the statute of limitations to prosecute Medicaid fraud.
Number 2 today, the sentencing for a Minneapolis man who shot and killed his ex-girlfriend was pushed back to today after the convicted killer did not show up Friday morning. A jury convicted David Wright for the murder of his ex-girlfriend, Mariah Samuels. The mother of 2 had a protective order against Wright at the time. The murder happened just minutes after she wrote on Facebook that he threatened her family and damaged her car. That's according to the Hennepin County attorney. Samuel's family says she had also posted a video online that she said showed him hitting her several times. On Friday, Wright was supposed to be sentenced to life in prison without parole. That's the automatic sentence for a first-degree premeditated murder conviction. But he did not show up for the hearing. Hennepin County attorney Mary Moriarty says this is showing another form of abuse for the family.
He has chosen not to show up to try to demonstrate one last shred of power and control, and it is devastating to this family.
When asked why he was not there, Wright's attorney claimed client privilege and would not answer on the record. Now, he is scheduled to be sentenced today at 2:30. As of this recording, that has not yet taken place, but we will certainly follow those developments and see if he makes it into court this time. Now, if you or someone you know needs help, call the Minnesota Domestic Violence Hotline or go to thehotline.org. Your third thing to know today, Mayor Kaohly Her of St. Paul gave her first State of the City address this morning. She took to the podium at the International Institute of Minnesota to provide updates from her first 100 days in office. Mayor Her spoke about the progress her administration made and their priorities for the year ahead. Those largely included her plans to repair the economic damage that she says occurred during Operation Metro Surge.
We feel this economic pain deeply here in our city, but as the capital city, it will echo throughout the entire state. That's why I've been at the Capitol frequently, including just last week, to advocate for relief for our businesses and housing support for our residents. To stabilize our state's economy, our legislature must prioritize easily accessible, quick-moving grants through trusted partners like foundations and local governments.
The mayor says, based on city surveys, St. Paul businesses lost over $129 million during January and February alone. And number 4 today, it is a huge day in Minnesota sports. The Wild tonight in Dallas at 8:30 and the Wolves in Denver tonight at 9:30. Now, the Wild, a dominating 6-1 performance in Game 1, and Jesper Wallstedt in net. He was just fantastic, making his first ever playoff start. He's looking to continue his excellent play tonight.
I feel like when I'm at my best and I get as much help as I got today, I feel like I'm able to control rebounds, and my goal is try to make it look as easy as possible. That's a good thing for me. So if it looked that way, that was good.
Again, puck drop is at 8:30 tonight in Dallas. Now let's talk Timberwolves. It's an even later tip-off tonight, 9:30 in Denver. They really need to get this one. You don't want to go down 2-0, obviously. Anthony Edwards, he's still dealing with right knee discomfort. He did have 22 points, but it just felt like he was a little bit off in Game 1. Remember, Ant missed 11 of the team's last 14 regular season games, but he says the Wolves just have a few things actually they need to clean up, and they'll come home Game 2 with a victory.
Just a couple game plan mistakes that we shouldn't have had from myself and a couple of other guys. But, yeah, that's all it was. Like, we cut it to 2. We got to be solid. We just got to be solid throughout the rest of the game, especially once we down 12-13, cut it to 2. Everything, we just got to be solid and let everything go through us.
I've got a feeling there's going to be a lot of tired Minnesota sports fans at the office tomorrow, but it's all worth it. Let's hope we can go 2-0 tonight. Those are your 4 things to know today. And before we check in on our forecast, over 65 counties in Minnesota are under extreme fire risk right now. The National Weather Service has issued a red flag warning effective until 8 p.m. tonight. Now, just before I got up here recording, right off I-94 in Rogers, we saw a fire, a brush fire just off the highway. So these warnings mean that any fires, they can spread quickly and grow out of control. So the DNR, they advise people not to burn anything and check on any recent burnings as well. They also advise you to be careful using things like chainsaws or other equipment that can produce embers. Now let's check in on that forecast.
Nice day today with temperatures getting back closer to average, in fact, a little above average. We are headed for the 60s today, but the 70s, 80s, and 90s as we go through midweek. That will bring with it a chance for some thunderstorms and some strong ones by Thursday into Friday. All you need to know about the next work week's worth of weather is online and on air anytime you want.
And now, here's more to know.
Right now, nursing home workers across the Twin Cities are on strike. More than 300 workers with SEIU Healthcare Minnesota and Iowa have walked off the job at 5 metro area facilities. Workers say they're fighting for higher wages, better benefits, and safer staffing levels. They argue that current conditions are contributing to a growing worker shortage and impacting care for seniors. Union leaders say employees overwhelmingly voted to strike after contract negotiations stalled, accusing employers of not offering a fair deal. We heard from Dr. Rasha Sharif with SEIU Minnesota.
Our members can tell you exactly what has been happening in the day-to-day work, but especially on the bargaining table, where the employer refuses to respect our members and give them what they deserve of wages.
Now, we did hear from the parent company for some of those facilities. That's called Monarch. That's the parent company. They say they are working on a statement in response to the strike. Now, the strike is expected to continue through Wednesday. A vote tonight could put residential building in one of the metro's fastest growing cities on pause. According to Housing First Minnesota, Lakeville ranked number 1 in residential permit numbers last year. And if you drive around, it's certainly not hard to find homes under construction. But city leaders are now weighing the benefit of a 1-year moratorium. Mayor Kaohly Her says they are hitting pause on new housing construction.
We've seen just a ton of people kind of come in at one time. So having the infrastructure to keep up schools, streets is difficult.
The mayor adds that this is only for new projects, so construction that's currently underway would not stop. Now, the city council is meeting tonight at 6. And just for some perspective for you, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, nearly 78,000 people live right now in Lakeville, and in 2020, the population was just over 69,000. It's now been 5 years since former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin was convicted of murdering George Floyd. Chauvin was found guilty of second and third degree murder as well as second degree manslaughter. Now, he was sentenced to more than 20 years in prison. He continues to serve that sentence right now at a federal prison in Texas. The city plans to turn the site of his murder, 38th and Chicago, into a permanent memorial. Construction on George Floyd Square will begin in June. To another story we're following today, they are the first voices you hear when you need help. 911 dispatcher jobs are crucial, especially in tragic situations. And in the past year, they've certainly been tested. From the Annunciation school shooting to Operation Metro Surge, we spoke with Johnny Kahner. She's the director of Minneapolis 911.
What made the ICE calls a little bit more difficult is they would come out throughout the day. They were sporadic. You never know when there was going to be a surge of calls.
Public safety communicators are working with the Minnesota legislature in hopes of changing their classification from clerical to first responder. That would provide proper recognition, increased benefits, and better mental health support. Let's get to some sports news. It was a quieter day yesterday at CHS Field in St. Paul, but that was by design. The St. Paul Saints teamed up with Frazier for their 4th annual sensory-friendly game. That means no home run cannons, fewer PA announcements, and an indoor sensory-friendly area. And one Lakeville family told us that this lets their son with sensory issues attend a ball game.
He loves to participate and listen to the crowd, but sometimes it scares him when it's super loud, super fast. So it helps him do that. It helps him calm down.
That's so nice, just getting more people to the ball game and letting others enjoy it. And yesterday, it was sunny. It was a little chilly out, but I'm sure they had a lot of fun. And for the first time this year, fans also had access to therapy dogs. And let's get to more sports. We're going to stick with baseball for a second. The Twins, now losers of 4 straight. Yeah, they started out so hot, but struggling of late. Good thing they're on an off day today, right? They play the Mets tomorrow night on the road. And now quickly to hockey. The Frost, they've had a playoff spot locked up for quite a while now, but their opponent yesterday, Toronto, they did not. So Toronto came into St. Paul. They beat the Frost yesterday 2-0. That was our last home game of the regular season. The Frost do have 2 more road games, and then the playoffs begin.
It's time to take a breath with your Daily Bright Spot.
The 130th Boston Marathon. It's happening right now as I record. That means over 30,000 runners all around the world are off with their sights set on the finish line. 26.2-mile course. This runs through 8 different cities and towns. It kicked off in Hopkinton, Massachusetts, and this is super special. Out of the hundreds of Minnesotans racing, there are 2 athletes with a very special bond. Moses Cooper and his running partner, Mark Hulsey.
I think I could run like Flash.
You run like Flash.
To be able to be with Mo, care for Mo, look out for Mo, bring him this opportunity, share all of this with him, it's as good as it gets.
Moses has cerebral palsy, but he says that does not stop him from pursuing his passion for racing. He met Mark 2 years ago through My Team Triumph Minnesota. That's a program that pairs people with disabilities and athletes. Now, if you're interested in becoming a volunteer running partner like Mark, we have more information on WCCO.com. Such a nice story. Hope they're doing well and enjoying the day out there. Thanks, everybody, for listening today. I'm Johnny Kahner. We are here with the news you need every weekday afternoon by 3 o'clock. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Let's go Wolves and Wild tonight. Happy Monday.
Listen to 4 Things to Know, a WCCO Daily News podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
Love podcasts? Love Minnesota?
Check out the WCCO podcast studio lineup.
Hear the top stories of the day with 4 Things to Know.
Discover top female athletes and teams from around the state on women in sports.
Dive into stories about faith and belief, from your local leaders to your neighbors next door, with Bigger Than Belief.
Stay in the know on the go with the WCCO podcast studio. Go to WCCO.com/podcasts.